Special thanks to all our patrons who support the show every single week. We couldn't do it without you. Head over to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast and subscribe today for bonus content, exclusive happy hour live chats, and more. Patrons, you help keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going, and we're so grateful for you. Not a patron yet? Join us today at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Help support the show by using our Amazon affiliate link anytime you shop on Amazon for running gear, food, beverages, or anything else the little gray trucks might bring your way. Just use runeatdrink.net/Amazon anytime you shop. It costs nothing extra. It's only one extra click, and it helps us keep the lights on and the bandwidth flowing. Just go to runeatdrink.net/Amazon, and we thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm JoJo, part of the Runcation Nation, and you are listening to Run, Eat, Drink Podcast.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. We feature destination races from across the country, and after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Dana, it is time for another Runcation recap.
I'm very excited.
I love this series because we get to highlight very special members of the Runcation Nation, awesome humans, individuals like JoJo.
Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, we're glad to have you. Thank you for giving us a little bit of time here to dive into a race that is special to you, and I think is going to be special to members of the Runcation Nation should they choose to participate.
It's always good to share the knowledge of different races all across the country in the community so we can make a bucket list.
Oh, exactly.
Well, that's the great thing about our group, your podcast with the group, the Runcation Nation, is that's how we find out about different races, is from each other.
It's true. So, share the knowledge.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
When
sharing is caring.
But, so many races happen across the country that, if you're outside of where they market to, you might miss it.
That's true. There are
so
some.
That's a great way to hear about these things, especially maybe it's in a place you haven't been to and you want to visit.
That's true, important too.
Gives you a way to see that destination.
And it gives you an opportunity to explore.
Which we do love.
And also...
and indulge.
And indulge.
Yes. After the accomplishment, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
You don't want to do that out of order. We've talked about that on previous episodes.
Yeah, that's a bad thing.
Yes.
That's a bad thing.
Yes. Bad results.
But before we actually get into the accomplish, explore, and indulge portions of our Runcation recap with JoJo, JoJo, would you mind telling everybody a little bit about who you are, where you're from, not what you're drinking? No, not like lives, but no. Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your background outside of running so we get to know a little bit more about you?
Sure. Outside of running. That is so weird on this podcast.
I know.
I'm an Army veteran. I served 24 years. I'm originally from Connecticut. That's where I grew up. And now I live in Huntsville, Alabama. So I guess that kind of makes me a damned Yankee because I really do enjoy the Southern life.
But I believe the term's carpetbagger.
Down here, it's actually a damn Yankee for me anyway.
Oh,
They actually say when you're a Northerner and you come down here and you stay, you're a damn Yankee.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
There's less traffic. There is traffic, but there's less traffic. Slower way of life, which is nice after city life. People are friendlier for the most part. And your dollar goes a little further down here. Although, with the rising cost of living everywhere, not as far as it did when I first moved down here in 2019 from Northern Virginia. But that's about it. That's about me.
Aw.
Okay, so that's a little bit about JoJo.
The non-running.
And
yeah,
let's talk about at some point in all of that, you got into running. How did you start running?
I did.
And don't say boot camp.
Oh,
No. I think actually it started, or I was introduced to running by one of my neighbor's older sisters back in Connecticut. She had to be late teens, early 20s. I don't remember. It's all a blur. But she ran, and she would go down to the local high school track. And I think as a kid, I followed her around like a puppy dog. And she invited me down to the track one time, and I loved it. Yeah, I don't know why I loved it, but I loved it. It was something I was good at. Now, then in the Army, as you said, I had to run.
Yeah, that wasn't elective running.
No, that was not
Or
elective
fun
running.
running.
And I was good up to 2 miles. That was our thing. We had to run 2 miles.
okay.
A lot of the bases, their MWR, which is Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Centers, they would always host different 5Ks on the base. Free t-shirt. And so I think I signed up for a few of them, and then another one, and then it just went on. And it continued on as I moved from base, or transferred from base to base. But it wasn't until the mid, I guess, 20s that I started adding a 10K here and there. And then as I got older, I signed up for a half marathon. I think I was in my late 20s. And then I tapered off for a while. It was back down to the 5Ks, and then maybe a half marathon here and there.
Mm-hmm.
In between that, I did run a few Army 10 milers in Washington, D.C.
Ooh.
We did that one
every year.
virtually.
We did that one virtually. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful race. It's well run. But it wasn't until I turned 40 that I started adding more half marathons to the list. And in fact, to celebrate, because I'm weird this way, to celebrate my 40th birthday, I signed up for the Disney Coast to Coast Challenge. And that was back when Disneyland was still doing the half marathon.
Right.
So I talked one of my high school friends into running the Disney World Princess Half Marathon. And then I think that was in February, if I'm not mistaken. And then I flew to California over Labor Day weekend and ran the Disneyland Half Marathon. And I guess the rest is history. Somewhere along the line, something clicked because I started signing up for more half marathons. And then, again, me with the bright ideas, at about 46, I decided I'm going to set a goal for myself. And I think I want to run 50 half marathons by the time I reach 50 years old.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why. Don't know. But I did meet that goal. And after that goal was met last year, I decided I didn't have a goal in mind. So I decided to set a new goal. And that new goal is to run a half marathon in every state. And that happened after somebody introduced me to the 50 State Half Marathon Club, and peer pressure. I joined. And
We call it peer support, not peer pressure.
Yes, peer support. Friends helping friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at 22 states right now, and DC, and with quite a few repeat states. Yeah, that's pretty much how I got into running.
And then it evolved to running for a cause.
It did. And St. Jude, as you know, I'm a St. Jude hero.
Mm-hmm.
And St. Jude hero is, for those that don't know, is somebody who runs a St. Jude race, but fundraises for them as well. They deem you a St. Jude hero. But I don't, thinking back on it, I don't really know how I initially got involved with St. Jude almost 10 years ago. Next year will be 10 years. I think it was at a race that they had at the expo. They had a St. Jude table, and I think the rest was history. I signed up, traveled to my first St. Jude race in Nashville, and that was in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great organization.
Mm-hmm.
It was a way that, or is a way, still is, that I can combine something that I love and enjoy doing and giving back to others. I don't even remember if I fundraised that first year. If I did, I don't remember, but I definitely started the fundraising for sure the next year in 2015, which was also in Nashville. So and it was more because I was local. I lived in Tennessee, so Nashville was local at that point in time. The first year that I remember fundraising, 500 was the goal. And I was so nervous. I didn't go up to somebody and say, "Hey, can I have some money?"
Right.
It's a weird thing. And I think that was really before fundraising was such a normal occurrence like it is now. But I was nervous. I chose 500, which was the lowest amount, because it was an amount not only I could set and promise St. Jude, but if I didn't get the donations to meet that, it was an amount that I could afford to pay the difference because I already committed to that $500 level.
One way or another, they're getting their 500 bucks.
Yep, exactly. I think back to that time and I laugh because as I'm still fundraising. And although I'm still a little nervous sometimes when I ask for money, I'm definitely not shy about asking for donations from people.
Yes. But your social media is awesome.
Yeah.
When it comes to St. Jude.
Now I don't care. I don't care if they think I'm weird or I'm going to ask. Worst they can say is no. But by year 3, I was getting to be comfortable or into my fundraising groove, so to speak. And I was learning at that point, I started learning more about the organization, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and how they not only treat, but they make an investment in every patient and as well as their family. And they begin to have a relationship. They create this relationship with them. It isn't just, okay, we've treated you. Now you're good luck and go on your way.
Yes, it's not transactional.
Right. St. Jude, they treat it's not ending. It's never ending. They treat the patient, they support the family, and they share I learned this just recently, they share their research with everyone to include other countries. And they don't ask for anything in return, which is fantastic. What I love is the support aspect of St. Jude. No family ever receives a bill for the treatment of their child. Not only is that awesome, but the stress level that relieves from a family, because medical bills are ridiculous.
Yeah.
The cost of everything is crazy.
It's not for a child, but we're experiencing that currently in our families. We understand. And that is absolutely fantastic. And yes, this is the same St. Jude you see the commercials for.
Yes.
And I think that we've seen the same booth that you might have gotten suckered into. Because the first St. Jude race we heard about was the Nashville race.
Was it Nashville and then Memphis?
Nashville and then Memphis. And then I believe there was a conflict. We were like, ooh, this looks really good. But it was the same weekend as Jeff Galloway's race, I think.
When it was in December. Yeah.
Memphis is in December. Memphis is always in December because that's where the actual hospital, the main campus is.
And that was the one they were saying, you come like the last mile, you run onto campus and you're being cheered on by the kids. So I'm like, oh my gosh.
So is that going to be, you said it's 2024 is your 10th year.
Yes. And I'm going to celebrate by running Memphis. So I think that's only appropriate to run the hospital. I was planning to do the hospital or Memphis run, but COVID hit and that kind of screwed up plans. So everything. But to continue on a little, because I'm going to plug my St. Jude here.
Oh, you should. I was going to ask.
And by the way, we are going to have you do it again at the end of this. So don't worry.
Okay.
Do it now.
But St. Jude follows up with all I don't mean plug for me. I meant plug St. Jude.
St. Jude.
The fact that they exist. But they follow up with all the patients year after year, even into remission and after remission. What I love, a lot of the organizations, a lot of the different locations that the St. Jude races are at, they'll have a pasta dinner. Not all of them do, but some of them do. Nashville is one of those. And what I noticed a lot that when they would talk, former patients would talk. I don't even say former patients because I think they're always a patient of St. Jude. But they'll get up and talk to the fundraisers, the St. Jude Heroes, and a lot of the patients, they decide to give back to St. Jude by becoming a St. Jude hero themselves and participating in whether it be a 5K, a half marathon, the bikes. They have the triathlons. They have so many different events that you can do for St. Jude.
Didn't know that.
stjude.org. Just saying.
There you go. See?
You can find out all sorts of things.
We will have a link in the show
out.
notes.
Yes, that's how I find out about a lot of the facts that I share when, like Amy, you were saying, my social media.
Yeah.
Because it's on point, because I will get that from them and I learn as well as I get to share that info for others. Because I figure there's a lot of people like me, they may have heard of St. Jude, but they don't really know a lot of what they do or what they're about.
So is that why, with your 10th anniversary running for St. Jude, is that why this past 2023, because we're still in it, you did the rock and roll race in April for them?
April, yes.
And I feel like now you have this big chunk of time
I know.
to hit a big goal for St. Jude. I feel like this is the way your brain is working. Is that right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So, yes, that's the way my brain is working. But the actual I'm going to do Memphis. So St. Jude Memphis for 2024 fundraising website won't open until after this year's race.
Gotcha.
Oh.
That makes sense.
Okay. All right.
Instead, 5K for St. Jude that they do locally here in September.
Oh.
Raising a little more money for that. But this way I can still stay involved with St. Jude and people don't forget I'm doing St. Jude, because there's going to be such a time gap between April of this year till December of next year.
But then it will, like, when you say cumulative from St. Jude race to St. Jude race, I imagine that you're wanting to hit a big fundraising kind of goal.
I haven't set an amount, because this year was actually the highest goal that I set for myself that I met. And I'm still in awe and shock at the fact that $7,000 I raised.
Yay!
That's incredible.
Last year was 5,000. That was the highest. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to 6. And I went to 6 and I met 6. I was like, all right, let me up it for some last minute. And hit 7. And I'm like, holy crap. What's going on here? But it's all good and it's for a great cause. So, and I'm going to plug a fact here. But so St. Jude opened, the actual hospital opened in 1962, which you guys know, maybe everybody else doesn't, but Danny Thomas was the individual who, the mastermind behind St. Jude, and it opened in 1962. And at that time, the survival rate for childhood cancer as an average was only 20%. Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
And today, with the research and the medical partnerships that St. Jude has with other hospitals and organizations, the survival rate's up to more than 80%.
Wow.
It's just...
Talk about seeing a return on your investment.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a great organization. I'm truly honored to represent it and represent them and the patients at St. Jude and be a St. Jude hero.
We are going to give you another opportunity at the end to plug everything that you're involved in for St. Jude and for something else.
Can't wait to see the costume for 2024. That's all
I know.
Oh, that's going to be a big one. I have to figure that out. I've got time though.
Yeah,
you got a couple.
I'm running out of superheroes.
You got a couple of weeks.
You're going to do it.
I can't do villains.
Nope. It's going to be a hero.
It throws me off.
I have faith. You got this.
If you're going to be called a hero, you have to do a hero. You could go anti-hero.
I could.
You could.
I could. And when I'm at that point, I know I need to hit up you, because
I will help you out. I will help you out with that. Yes, I'm here for you.
Because I didn't even know that was a thing until
expertise.
One of your podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this may have been a whole lot of foreshadowing, but can you share with the Runcation Nation what is the race weekend that is the must-do Runcation Nation or Runcation destination that you want to recap on the show with us this week?
This is a hard one because I've done over 50 half marathons and I've traveled here, there, and everywhere. Okay, maybe not everywhere. Here, there, and a lot of places. And everyone, we were talking a little bit before we even started, but every race has something special about it or has an aspect that you love about it. And maybe not like the fun stuff on the race or the after party or the pre-party or the water stops or the costumes,
Sure.
but there's always something. The race I'm going to recap is one of the vacation races.
Oh.
And that's the Grand Tetons.
I'm excited. This is going to be a good one.
Very.
Grand Teton. That is one I've had my eyes on.
It's a fantastic race. It's in Wyoming. And like I said, it's vacation races. So in case people don't know, because I didn't know till I looked them up.
Yeah, help us out here.
Vacation
Tell
races,
people about this.
Yep, there you go. I'm sharing. Vacation Races, it's a race organization, obviously, that puts on national park half marathons, ultra marathons, 5Ks, trail running festivals, and other running adventures to include overseas adventures.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
My
Awesome.
first race with them, and I've done a couple, was Grand Tetons in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, in the middle, to me, of nowhere, because I really hadn't been out that way, but gorgeous.
I have no concept of it because we've never been out
You've
that way.
watched
Really.
Yellowstone?
Yes, but I think it's very different when you're in it, when you experience it.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's now Jackson Hole is where I think it's the area. Start or finish, I think, is right outside of Jackson Hole. I can't remember. And they may have since changed it since 2019, where the actual start finish is. But anyway, it's beyond beautiful, this course. It's another place that I describe as Mother Nature at her finest.
Okay. I like the sound of that.
How did you find this?
I think I was searching for different locations about races because I started getting into the travel thing, and Vacation Races popped up on the search. So obviously I had to look into what they had to offer.
Of course.
So I noticed that they had different locations and national parks. And although I love to travel overseas, I love to travel to beaches and islands, I also love national parks because it's just such a beautiful natural area around it's preserved around the parks. You don't run, even though they call them the Grand Tetons or whatever national park it is, you do not run inside the park.
Right.
You run around or outside the park, the fenced line of the park.
This was the same experience that we had when we did the Great Smoky Mountain 5K.
Yes.
And that was a Vacation Races event.
Yes.
So they're national park adjacent.
Always.
Yes. That was a very interesting one. Slanted, pitched, whatever you want to call it. That is what I blame for the beginning of my medical injury woes.
Oh.
Not Grand Teton. You're talking about Smoky Mountain.
No. I'm talking about Smoky Mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Grand Teton's fairly flat.
Oh, that's good to
Is it
know.
really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get into more questions about that, but that's
Well-
surprising to hear. I expected that to be not the case.
We've never been out there. We don't know.
But before we get into more of the course,
Okay.
so you found it that way. Once you found it, can you talk about what's the registration process look like for the Runcation Nation? How difficult is it to sign up for one of these things?
It's just like any other race that you sign up for. You go to the website, you pick the race that you want to sign up for, put in your information, put in your payment information, and register.
So it's really easy.
So before you put up your credit card, you have your confirmation in your email, more than likely.
You can pick what you want. So it's fairly simple. So as I said, it's like the others. You can sign up. Most of the races have the options that they have are a half marathon, a 5K, or you can do, I don't know if they're all called the same. At Grand Tetons, it was called the Moose Double, which is doing both races, the half marathon and the the 5K where you get a bonus medal or a challenge medal, whatever I'm not really big into the challenges.
I don't know. If they have a good medal, I'm on board.
I have this too much space. My walls, I'm running out of wall space.
The medals
For any more medals.
It's a
they
good
can
problem
become
to have.
like wallpaper.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Find something else to do with the medals. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what.
Yeah. How is the pace? I worry about pace requirements.
Back of the Packers.
It's me. Yeah. Back of the Packers. What's it like? Yeah.
So the majority, at least the ones that I've looked at and the ones I participated in, the course limit is 4 hours. If you can do, I figured this out, an 18-minute, 18-second mile,
Yep.
you can
I've done that math too.
do this. Now, the other thing is you can, I don't know if you're going to ask about corrals but we can cover that then, but you can, where they start, obviously the fast people are up front.
Of course.
But
naturally.
you kind of, if you're back of the packer, I highly recommend moving up a little bit. It's not like Disney. There's no
They're not policing the corrals.
Nazis.
Like, give me your bib. Give me the
It happens a lot. You go up and you're a slow person and you go at the start of the race and you're going to have some angry people.
Sure.
But that's any race.
No, that makes total sense. Now, I alluded to it. You talked about it. Talk about the bling. I can only speak to the one vacation race that we did. What was the bling
So
like?
you see the medal, right? You have your medal.
Right.
For the Smoky Mountains. and
Right.
It looks a little something like this.
Hey-o.
They
there
do
it
great
is.
bling.
I love it. It's
They're-
color.
What I didn't notice till after I got home is this little piece right here.
It's
it
a tiny
spins.
spinner.
It turns.
It's a spinner within the medal.
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
shield-shaped metal, and the tip of the shield, like the bottom, looks
It's a
like that
spinner.
bottom half inch
It's a
is
spinner. That's awesome.
That is really cool.
And the ribbon that comes with it shows Grand Tetons or whatever the name of the race is.
Right.
I love that.
Now, one of the things, this one does not have it. So on the back, no, there we go. I don't know where my camera is. It just has a date stamp of when it was. But the other ones, and I have my Mount Rushmore one here.
Ooh, Mount Fun.
On the back, it has
It
has what it is, but it tells a little bit about the national park.
Oh, cool.
It's etched within on the back of the medal, and I don't have my reading glasses on, so I can't.
That's
tell you
quite
That's
all
okay.
right.
That's okay.
but
Good.
it's imprinted on the back about the date of what it is, Mount Rushmore, this one, and the date, and then it has a little blurb about it.
How nice is that?
And the same thing with the Smoky Mountains, I think, has that as well on the back. So if you check yours, it'll probably have that on the back.
I bet it would. We've got to do it.
Yeah.
We've got to check it. Now, I don't recall because when we did the Smokies, was there a cause attached to this race weekend that you?
So they don't really have a cause, as in a lot of the races, hey, it's for cancer or for breast cancer, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But they promote what they call the Wander Project. And what that is, I had to look it up so I know what it was and I could tell you about it. It supports efforts in and around the communities where they host the different events. And
nice.
I just learned this out recently. You can fundraise, but you get to choose from the list of their, I'm doing this, there's a list here, from their official nonprofit partners. Or you can actually choose a charity of your choice, but they have to be 501c and US based.
Sure.
All of that.
I think that was
To make sure it's
2023.
legitimate. Right.
I think for 2024, I looked it up the other day because I was looking at vacation races and entertaining the idea of an overseas one. But I'm an addict. Hi, my name's JoJo, and I'm a race addict.
This is why we're sharing the races, so people know where to go.
But I think for 2024, if you choose your own charity, they've expanded it where it can be an international charity as well.
Isn't that nice?
But it has to be 501c3, whatever that is.
Legit, registered as.
Has to be a registered nonprofit.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. Good to know.
Yeah.
And okay, so we've talked about causes, registration process, the back of the pack thing. Yeah, that's good. It's good. It's all good. How do you recommend traveling there?
By plane.
unless you live there.
Unless you're retired and you take out the
Yeah,
RV or
yeah.
whatever. How did you travel
'Cause
there?
It's not, I'm not going to say it's remote, but it's remote at the same time. It's not big city. You have to fly, allow yourself some time. You fly into Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It's the airport that's there.
And how far away is Jackson Hole Airport from where,
The little town?
you have to pick up your bib and get to the start line and all of that, or your hotel?
So of course, this was 2019 when I did it. I don't know if they've since changed like locations on where everything is.
Sure.
But one of the where they had bib pickup was maybe 2.5, 3 miles away from the little town of Jackson Hole.
Okay.
Not bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
And it's funny you mentioned, I recommend flying. And we were looking at Missoula years ago.
We were.
And we're like,
Before
how the hell do we
2020.
get there? Trying to find there's no flight out of Fort Myers to get to Missoula. So like we were.
Yeah,
like,
you almost
with
have to
it?
connect to find a place to connect.
We would have to drive we'd have to fly to like Tampa or drive to Tampa.
And
then
fly out.
I mean, it was crazy. So
Or something.
at least
Like
Jackson Hole's got
Miami
a
or
pretty
Orlando
popular
or-
airport.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned 2 or 3 miles away. This does remind me a little bit of Great Smokies.
Oh, yeah.
For general transportation, what would you recommend to somebody? Rent a car? Do you think that was it good enough for like ride share, public transit?
So I don't know about today.
No, understand.
I rented a car, but truthfully, I didn't really need it for much. I walked to everything other than the bib pickup. But I enjoy walking. I walked to a restaurant that was a mile away. There was a little grocery store, and that was about a mile away. Weather wasn't beautiful that time. It was a little cold because they had a cold front move in.
Like my
it's
kind
around
of race,
Memorial
JoJo.
Day. It was around Memorial Day, the end of May, and they had a cold front, and it was 30-something degrees.
There you go.
Fabulous.
I was
Talking
not
Amy's
planning
language
for
right there.
30-something degrees.
Yeah.
I hit the thrift store, which they had one, and I grabbed a hooded pullover, and the morning of the race, it was foggy, misty, kind of rainy. It burnt off eventually, but then it got a little toasty, but it was not a pretty weather-wise beginning of the race, but it ended on a
Very
different
well.
note.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasted money on a rental car that I didn't really need. You probably could have taken a taxi or maybe a ride share or a ride with one of the other runners because you see them walking everywhere. You can tell they're runners, fellow
Right.
runners. Yeah,
Or you can pick us out in a crowd.
You can.
And you probably could have ridden with them, but I'm that type of person. I'll talk to anybody. So
Right.
just push myself on them. Hey, can you give me a ride?
Want to share? Let's go. So you said it was a mile to walk to dinner or the thrift store or
one of the restaurants and the grocery store. So there's a little town of Jackson Hole that's not even a quarter of a mile. It's not even, like I said, the square, for lack of a better word, I walked everywhere. Those little towns, it looks like a little Western town,
Like
they
a
got the little
quaint
railing and in the little
thing.
square, they have reenactments and an antler arch. There's like an old time saloon there's different types of saddles as your bar stool.
Wait.
It's great. There's even a little liquor store and homemade jams and stuff that they will ship, and you can taste test everything that's in that store.
Wow.
We need to go.
This sounds amazing.
Yeah,
We
needless to
need
say,
to
I
go.
shipped a case of different
I
liquors to myself.
Why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you let's reminisce about the experience. But so where did you end up staying?
So I stayed downtown. It was I think it was a motel. It was like wood cabin themed.
Nice.
There's a couple little motels right in the square walking distance. And then further out, there's some lodges, hotels, and because there's ski areas in the wintertime.
Jackson Hole does have a lot of high-end resort.
When you
stuff that's
look
within
online.
I wasn't
distance.
staying at that
Yeah.
I was the budget friendly. That was me.
Absolutely. For the race, well, you're going to race. I understand that.
Now, I will recommend if you are going to do this race or anywhere in Wyoming and you're not used to the elevation, I do recommend going a few days beforehand. I went 2 days beforehand.
2 days, but really
Or like a day and a half. Like I arrived on a Thursday, I think it was a Thursday, and then I had Friday, and then Saturday was the race, or I arrived on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday was the race. I can't remember what the days were.
You would say earlier than that, or you wish you had earlier than
No, that was good for me.
Okay.
But everyone's different on how they react. But don't go the day before because you're going to set yourself up for a challenging race.
And
that's important for pacing and stuff.
That's huge, actually, for people like us. We train at sea level.
Yeah.
So we're oxygen rich. Everything's flat. But interestingly, Jackson Hole is the highest point is 6,800 feet. Lowest point is 6,350 feet. So you're over a mile up the whole time.
So the Floridians need to get there and acclimate.
That's the same thing with Mount Rushmore. Ooh, I wasn't planning on that one.
Yeah.
So you plan for like where you're at and the difference to where the city is, but you don't plan, or I didn't plan for the increased race elevation that you're going up.
That's a
good point.
Really good tip, Jojo. Thank you. Because that's huge. That really does impact, if you've never run at altitude, it impacts your body's ability to get oxygen. The air is thinner up there.
And you haven't, if you haven't trained, like I know that there are some people who wear the masks and do that kind of training where they don't have it, where they can't get to it.
I am your father.
That's
what they look like. They look like
Star Wars.
No one cared who I was before I put on the mask.
And that'll be the case when eventually I do a Colorado race.
Ooh.
100%.
We were looking at
a
one.
Montana race.
Yeah.
Missoula.
We were looking at, and you got to think about that, and you got to train appropriately in the ways that you can. And early arrival, like to your point.
Yeah.
That's huge, though.
Huge. Yeah.
And I like to get a lay of the land too. So I like coming in a little bit to know where I'm going. I
like that. And now I've been guilty of being, when left to my own devices to book things, not booking enough time. But
that's entirely true.
do not having to rush and having that, like you said, the lay of the land. Given the type of quaint little touristy town that it is, talk about a little bit about Race Expo. What did they have? Give us a bit of a overview of what someone could expect.
Okay. Yeah. You know how we're used to normal races and there's this big expo, like the bigger races, there's this big expo. Now, vacation races, they're big races, but there's not a big expo. So typically they are outside, at least the ones, all three that I've been to, they are outside.
It was in Tennessee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
and it's, like I said, it's not like most races. It's held outside, and other than a few vendors and picking up your bib and your t-shirt, that's it. Now, they usually have for vacation races, they usually have a sign. Sorry, I'm visualizing what was happening at these races. But they have a sign with the title of whatever the name of the race is, and you can sign it. So all the runners sign it. What they do with that, I don't know. But you sign it, and for Mount Rushmore, they had mascots of all the presidents.
Oh, that's great.
They had them at the start and the finish.
That's awesome.
That's terrific.
One of the vendors it wasn't at the Smoky Mountains I found them at, but it was at Mount Rushmore. If you see this little,
Oh, look at that. It's like a little replica of the metal.
I don't really know where my camera is, so I can't even tell you. There
you go.
There you go. Perfect.
Right there.
Perfect.
For those listening, we've got her on video here.
It matches the metal.
Yeah.
So I have the three that I've done, and this vendor, I think she goes to all of the vacation races. So you can get it as a pendant, you can get it as a bracelet, whatever. I'm not a big jewelry fan, so I chose a keychain. So it's something unique.
Yeah.
And I can carry this around versus these.
Yeah. like especially if you're doing a challenge and you have all the blank, it can weigh down your neck and
it gets heavy. And really, when the town you go to, you can get away with wearing your medal around town the night of, maybe the next day.
Maybe.
After that, people look at you like you're weird.
Yes. Yeah, that is true.
I guess.
That is true.
Did you carb load the night before?
I'm going to go with yes.
Or do you normally?
Yes, I normally do.
Okay.
I'm normally a pasta girl and breadsticks.
Oh, yes.
You know, everything's better with bread.
Hard to beat.
Bread and bacon.
Bread and bacon. That should be a hashtag. We should get Josh on that.
There you go. But yeah, so I'm trying to remember. That was 4 years ago. I'm sure I did. I just don't remember the meal itself.
That's a tradition for you.
Yes, that's my thing. And it's not necessarily has to be pasta because I have done pizza.
Right.
I have done like chicken piccata or something like that. But I stay away from the fried foods. I stay away from the Mexican food. I stay away from that kind of stuff. Nothing that I haven't tried before.
Exactly.
Trying the local fare is the night of the race, after the race, and days after.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. That's right. That's why we say accomplish first and then explore. And then
true. There's an order.
There's an order to everything.
And we've discussed what happens when you get it out of order.
It's not good.
I'm still
it's not good.
I'm still having flashbacks to Gasparilla.
I know that.
What did you do?
I might have started with the indulge part.
He did.
The night before the race.
Totally.
We indulged a little bit, Miss Amy.
We did. We had beer. We were at Pint and Brew for Gasparilla. Yeah.
So was I.
But my limit is usually one.
Mine was not.
Night before a race.
Mine was not.
It's carbs.
Yes. So
did you have some bad influences?
I did have bad influences.
You did.
Yes. That was a couple of other members of the Runcation Nation who influenced me badly.
If you were hanging when Amy was hanging with us, we were not the bad influence.
We had water.
We did have all of us had water as well as our drink. And all of us actually drank the water.
Yes.
Well,
okay. We did. Now, in the morning, coffee was vital for me. That was very important, but I wasn't hurting necessarily. On race morning, what is your ritual? What do you normally do in terms of, do you stretch? What do you eat?
Stretch?
What's that? Yoga? No.
I do a little, nothing crazy. I've gotten, since I've been injured, a little more better, a little more better, more into the stretching a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't know if it helps or not. There's theories on whether it does or it doesn't. So I do my thing. But as far as a ritual, early wake up, and because for race morning, at least for Grand Teton, was a bus.
Oh, yes.
So you had to get up extra early and wait in line for the buses, and then they ship you to the start line, and it's dark. It's cold. Usually.
You stay near the start, or did you stay near the finish, or was it?
I stayed near the finish.
Okay.
Because I knew there were buses to bring
to the start.
Because the stuff usually is at the finish. The town or what have you is usually near the finish. Sometimes near the start.
Yeah.
I do eat. A lot of people don't, I know, before a race. My breakfast routine is, of course, water. What it was then, as far as putting in my water, is different than it is now. I experimented with different, and that's not to say, I'm not saying alcohols. I don't mean that.
No.
But there are different electrolyte drinks that are powders that I would add, and I use a different one now which I'm happier with than I did back then. I was experimenting. I no longer need to experiment because I found mine. But my breakfast is usually water, a granola bar, and a banana. And then sometimes I'll add a little thing of yogurt, which is usually a taboo for some people. Oh, yogurt.
Okay.
Yeah, for some people, it's too tart, too acidic.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Yeah.
What does pre-race look like? Is there a party? Are there corrals, gear check?
Not for vacation races. There's not really a party. There's an announcer and they're playing music and talking to people about different things.
Mm-hmm.
The national anthem. So I got to tell you, Mount Rushmore, and I know you've seen these on the videos of different places where they sing the national anthem and the music goes out.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, if you will, picture this. I feel like Golden Girls, Sicily, 1932.
I get that reference.
I love it. Golden Girls.
So sunrise, right about before sunrise, you can see the red. It's starting to come up. This was Mount Rushmore. And the singer started singing and the music went out.
Oh.
And the mic went out. Sorry, the mic went out. Not the music, the mic went out. The entire crowd sang the national anthem.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's great.
You get chills.
I love it.
When that happened. I got chills. But there's not really a pre-race party. The buses pick you up. They bring you to the start line. As I said, it's dark. It's usually cold. They had, I call them burn cans, where they have like a big canister type barrel where they have
to
fire.
warm you.
Like a burn barrel.
They had fire. So you can at least keep your hands warm, and because it was a little chilly that morning. But as far as the corrals, not really a corral. They do they
tell you to line up.
They don't have them. They tell you where to line up, like pace wise, estimation wise.
Yeah.
But there's not anybody, as I said, enforcing the whole jumping into other corrals. A lot of people did it. I did it. I knew I was slow, and I didn't know the course because I typically do not look at the course. I don't beforehand. I don't see if it's tons of hills or not.
You're not diagnosed.
I don't want to psych myself out.
Right.
Well, and I don't want to freak out about the hills and be like, oh crap, and then get in my own head. And
that impacts your performance.
It's a single start for the entire group, so there's no separate. A lot of places they'll have the separate start
and space them out the corrals.
Right, space them. There wasn't that.
Okay.
It was go, and that was 2019, and that was during COVID.
Ooh.
So they were like, okay,
just go.
So it's a single start for the entire group.
So how about on course? Are there official pacers for certain times that you want to make, or is it just?
It's willy-nilly.
It's willy-nilly. Okay. What about?
There's no pacers whatsoever.
Okay. What about?
There were. I didn't see them.
Nutrition and water and electrolytes.
So they had water stops. Again, this was 4 years, so I can't tell you what they had, but I can tell you more recent vacation races. So they had water stops. They had some gels. I don't know which types of gels, but they had that. I carry snacks with me, and I carry my own water bottles. So for vacation races, I think all of them, because it's around a national park, it's a cupless water station.
Yes, that's what is unique about these. Yes.
They're trying to preserve the environment and probably save themselves from some work, but there's no cups at the water station. So you either bring your own water bottle, or part of your swag, so to speak, is I don't know, is it rubber? I don't know what it's
silicone.
Made of,
I think it's silicone.
Yeah. Thank you. Silicone. It has a clip on it, so you can clip it to your pant waist or your wherever your
belt if you have it, whatever your collar.
If you're a lady, you can clip it to your bra strap, whatever you want to clip it to. You can clip it to. But I bring my own water bottle. So when you sign up, when you register, you have the choice of requesting that as part of your bag or declining.
I've still got mine.
I still have it too.
Yeah.
So that's a thing for vacation races.
It's good. It's good.
Like I said, I bring my own snacks. You asked about the race, so I bring my snacks. Am I running? I guess they're not snacks. They're running fuel.
I mean, that.
It's a snack.
And I bring my own little electrolyte powder packs with me.
Gotcha.
# drip drop.
Drip drop. Yes. But yes, they're my go-to now.
Yeah.
Is drip drop.
Good.
On this course, you said you don't normally look at the course, but you also mentioned this one, Grand Teton, is one that is Mother Nature at her best. Obviously, that implies that it was very beautiful. What about challenging? Was it, you alluded to that it's a flat course, even though you're at altitude. Was there parts that were really challenging or less challenging or entertaining, super beautiful? Like,
Scenic. Yeah.
So the whole course is scenic. There's even the little swampy area that you ran by was scenic. It was cute. It was quaint. Like I said, it's pretty flat. So to me, it was a great introduction for my first race with vacation races.
Ah, okay.
One, to see how they were set up. I probably didn't look at that at the time, but in hindsight, it was a great introduction to vacation races.
Yeah.
How the whole organization is set up. And they have it down to a science on how they conduct their races. I don't remember it being too challenging other than the weather, as I mentioned.
Right.
And getting used to the elevation, which I was there a couple of days earlier. So I'm sure that helped me. I have no doubt that helped me in learning to breathe, because you take a different, you breathe normally. It comes second nature to you when you're everywhere else. But there it's a different, you take a deep breath and you're like, ooh, this feels a little different.
Ooh, what happened there?
Exactly what happened there. But the mountains, the farms, the animals, a lot of horses, the creeks, it's picturesque. I truly was, I'm no poet, but I was truly in awe of the scenery. It's preserved, it's natural, it's untouched by city life. And of course, I wore my tutu. Yeah.
I mean, you got me on board with that.
Yes, I had the tutu. I had the little headband with the little antenna thingamajiggies.
Aww. Headphones
but
or
I'll
no?
have to send you a photo.
Please
send you a photo of the mountain view.
Please.
I have a couple great shots.
Yeah. Did you listen to music, or were you just into seeing the scenery?
I always listen to music.
So do I.
I don't. I'm not a fan, even if it's just background noise. Like if I'm walking or running with somebody, like Susie and I do a lot of races together too. So we don't do music. Actually, when I'm with her, we just chit chat the whole time. I think one race we did music, but I prefer music.
Yeah, I do too. And but it's nice that you had a little bit of music and then you had the chance to have the scenery. It's how I feel about our Kentucky races.
Oh, yeah.
Those Kentucky races that are just like the picturesque barns and the horses.
Run the bluegrass.
Like
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong. It is pretty.
Absolutely
It's
gorgeous.
just hilly.
Hills. I heard lots of hills, so I'm not doing that one.
Yeah, you got to prepare for them if you're going to do that race. But
with this one, it was 2019, as I said, when I did this one. I actually still had a little iPod Shuffle and headphones. I don't know because it's remote.
Cute.
If you'd have the Wi-Fi, you might have to download your music.
That's what I do. I create a playlist for every race, and then I download it to make sure that if there's no signal anywhere, cellular, whatever, I need
to get with you because I'm not that technical savvy. I didn't even know till recently you could download your playlist.
Heck, even at the vacation race in Tennessee, there were radio dead spots. So
there were.
You had to be mindful of it even there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and they have an app. So Vacation Races has an app. Don't ask me what it's called. I don't know. But it has it will, when you started, you click the little button and then it keeps your pace or whatever. When there's no reception. I'm at mile 6 and it says you are at mile 1. Well,
no.
But yeah, Grand Tetons was very
beautiful.
Flat. Yes, there were a little
flat.
You know what I mean? Little slopes, but not
here and there.
Not what I would call a hill.
Okay.
It didn't have rolling hills.
It had inclines.
Yeah.
It did not have hills.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Good for us. I like it. What about the finish line experience?
That one, I'm trying to think of that one. Obviously, you have an announcer. It's not just finish. I won't say obviously because some races don't have an announcer. They had an announcer announcing the finishers coming in. I'm trying to remember what the finish line. It's not a big party. Let's just say like Gasparilla was.
Okay.
Or Donna is.
Mm-hmm.
it's, or like even the St. Jude races or some of the rock and roll races.
Oh,
those
yeah.
are a big party.
That's true.
It's not like that. It's more of the adult finish line.
You're a grown up.
You're a grown up. Get your medal and get
You're
out.
a grown up. Get your medal and let's
Go.
You have your snacks, the after race snacks that they give you.
Your free banana, right?
Yeah, your free banana. A lot of the vacation races give you actually a snack box. I don't know if all of them do.
Good.
It's just a different atmosphere that we're used to running, but it is definitely worth doing.
Even the vacation race that we did, we crossed the finish line and then we were able to hang out with fellow runners and talk. And it's more social maybe than a big party atmosphere.
Yeah.
I would say.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd agree. Now, while you were there, did you meet anybody or have any interesting or inspiring or funny moments that jumped out while you were there at this race?
I didn't meet anybody. As I mentioned earlier, the square has the reenactments, which that was cool. There's a little,
I would want to see that.
Pistols at noon type of thing.
Historical, like that.
Yeah. I didn't meet anyone at this race, but at Mount Rushmore, I did. As we were climbing the gradual 9-mile hill, I ran into one of my running buddies from Tennessee. And of course, there's a photo op from that. But, and out the photo ops and Grand Tetons, any of the vacation races were great. But for Mount Rushmore, and I know I keep flipping back and forth, but Mount Rushmore had a great overlook. And you could see Mount Rushmore in the back. And so everyone's stopping to take photos, trying to take selfies. Can you imagine trying to take a selfie with that, trying to get that?
It would be
everyone, which again, it's the running community. Everyone was helping each other and taking, let's take your photo. You want me to take your photo? I think I took 8 photos for 8 different people. I'm like, okay. And my friend Amy that was with me, the other Amy. And she was like,
yeah.
So not at Grand Teton, but at a vacation race.
At a vacation race, yeah. But okay, so you've crossed the finish line. You've had the accomplishment. Where are you going to eat there?
So I really didn't do any research because that was my pre-research days for my food and my little winner circle. And so for this race as well as any of race afterwards, I like to eat and I like to drink.
Exactly.
So I like to eat more than I like to drink.
Yes.
I try to find a place that has good reviews. Now, I just went wherever, but I chose a quaint little place there that had outdoor seating, and it was actually called Cafe Genevieve. And I know I had a drink. It was whatever the local one was of that place. They're special. So I like to try new things, and I like to try local dishes and that kind of thing. I believe I had a grilled cheese with bacon and whatever they were big steak fries, but they were seasoned with something. I don't know what the heck it was, but it had bacon on it. I remember that.
Everything is better with bacon.
Exactly.
But
it was cute because a lot of the little places, it was overloaded. It was a small town. So all the places were overcrowded with runners wanting to find something.
And there were probably waits.
There were waits for some of the real sit-down restaurants. And ended up being a beautiful day. The sun was out. And they had little umbrellas on the outdoor patio of the tables. And I was like, one, please.
Nice.
And so, and afterwards, when I was looking up restaurants to eat at, that actually had some really good reviews.
I'm looking at their website right now, and this is absolutely Runcation Nation material here. This looking at this, wow, this is gorgeous. The place is a stunner. And what a menu. I'm looking at the whole menu looks like an Instagram photo shoot.
Oh, okay.
It's so cute. It looks like from the outside, looks like a little log it's a little house cottage, but they have their wooden railings are like the little log cabin type of railing. Little flower garden out front.
Let's all go eat there.
That looks amazing.
Yeah.
And they have it's not a boardwalk, but the main strip. You have the stores and the restaurants along the strip, but behind them, I'm not going to, sounds like I want to say alley, but it's not an alley. But behind them, there's stores within. So there's like a wooden plank type of boardwalk. And there's little stores and like candy shops and tucked behind there. So ice cream shops, everything.
Now, what about your winner's circle? You mentioned your winner's circle. How did this tradition come to be? And like, what did you have a beverage back then, or?
I don't know. I had a beverage. Yeah. So, okay, let me answer that.
You're
first.
like,
yes,
of course,
I had a
yes.
beverage. I don't know if I did a runner's circle for that one.
No?
That may have come a little later.
Okay.
But what I do is it memorializes the race, I guess, and my food and my drink choice. I celebrate by having a meal that I just either a rich meal or something just to celebrate my accomplishment. So I indulge for my accomplishment.
I love it.
I love it. She's on the brand. She's on the brand.
I'll set up a little photo op with my medal, either the medal just next to my meal and drink, the meal, or I wrap the ribbon of the medal around the drink and just do that photo. So, I just started calling it the winner's circle.
I love it. That's great.
It's like it's a throwback to Meb, because Meb says you run to win your own race. And
Right.
exactly. That's the way to celebrate it.
Your race, your pace.
Exactly.
Now, while you were in Jackson Hole and you went to the Cafe Genevieve, which we're going to have links to in the show notes, worry
Ooh,
not
right.
if you're
Okay.
looking at
Yes.
if you're looking at going to Jackson
it's there.
Hole,
It's still there.
still open. It looks amazing. Was there another place you'd recommend getting a celebratory beverage or?
A beverage, yes.
Okay.
And I think it's called, and you can look it up, Dana. I think it's called the Silver Dollar Saloon.
I want to go
At
there just
Jackson
for
Hall?
the name. Just for the name.
I know, just the name itself.
And I want to wear country western gear.
They had there was plenty of that. I really want to bring myself home a cowboy.
That's right.
But they had the seats of the bar were saddles. So the bar stool was a saddle.
Aw.
And it was an old fashioned type saloon. I think it's Silver Dollar.
The Silver Dollar Bar and Grill.
There you go.
Oh,
I have their website here, and it looks like
Well done.
they're part of or owned by a hotel.
ooh,
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
And I imagine they have if they're a bar and grill, they have all
Yes,
sorts
they had
of
everything.
drinks.
It was crowded, so I went in. I had my little beverage. Don't ask me what I had. I don't know. And I did the photo op of me sitting on the saddle.
Can we have that picture?
I think I have it.
Maybe.
I'll have to check.
Let us know. Yeah.
I'll have to check.
Where will you be accomplishing, exploring, and indulging next, JoJo?
I'm glad you asked, Amy. So I have a few local 5Ks. As I mentioned, I'm on the 5K, where you had that year you were doing a 5K.
Oh, yeah.
That was your year of 5K. I'm now slowly just doing 5Ks. And I don't even care if they don't do a medal, because I really don't need any more medals. Just
Blasphemy.
for 5Ks compared to...
We
What'd you
must
say?
have-
I said
we must have the
blasphemy.
we must have the
Blasphemy.
bling.
I
The
have to-
bling's necessary.
I'm bling driven.
To me, the blings of the half marathons mean more.
Yes.
Because that's my goal.
5K
That's
t-shirts, half marathon medals. You're not wrong.
Yes. I don't even
Depends
like
on
the
the year.
t-shirts anymore.
I don't need any more t-shirts.
But they
No.
could make a good quilt later.
Do you know how many I gave away most
Never
of my
going to make a
t-shirts?
quilt.
You can send it
Yeah.
off. There are services.
Yeah,
Do you
you
not know
send it
this?
out. They
Yeah.
actually have a service that'll do it for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Why haven't we had them
Sorry.
on the show? I mean,
Well,
I'm just saying.
these are ideas as we're thinking of them.
There's still time. Write it down.
Yeah, there's
Put it
still
in the show
time.
notes.
This is not like the last episode of the show.
But I have a few local 5Ks as well as the St. Jude 5K in September here in Huntsville.
Good.
But the next Runcation will be in New Hampshire.
Oh,
Miss Susie and I will be running the Delta Dental Half Marathon.
say that
in
5
New
times fast.
I know, right? In October, so we get to spend some time with Meg.
Yay! Oh,
So Runcation Nation meetup.
Yay! We expect pictures.
Oh,
Lots
yes.
and lots
yes,
of pictures.
There'll be plenty of pictures. I'm
We
sure.
do, because we love the community
Lot
that
of
we have built.
laughter.
And yes, and we love to see you all together.
We love to be together.
Well, we have to get together again. We must.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people listening to this episode might recognize your voice from live streams that we've done. They might also recognize your voice because your voice goes into their ear holes when they're listening to podcasts because you happen to have a podcast of your own. Could you talk a little bit about your show, this podcast called Life, where we can find it, what it's about, how often does it come out, all that fun stuff. Talk about that. Plug your
away.
show.
Yes.
I'm never good at that stuff.
I know.
So
That's why
I'm not at the
I'm
level that
asking
you
the
guys
question.
are.
Oh, come on.
I had wanted to, I'm not going to lie, I actually wanted to write a book, and that still might be on my to-do bucket list. But I wanted just to talk about the things that we experience in life and we don't really talk about with one another other than maybe close friends or your inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called this podcast called Life. How about that? And it's really just that. It's about life, the good, the bad, the ugly topics. Like I said, we all experience, but do you really talk about? Not so much. One of the episodes was being an adult orphan. That's not something that, hey, Dana, what are you doing today?
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you about this. You don't really talk about it, but it's something that a lot of people experience. It's just, I wanted to just have something that was relatable to people. Nothing fancy. I don't have all the funny little buttons and stuff that you guys have.
Oh,
but
you talk about some great topics, though. You do. We were
learning to find topics.
We loved talking with you on your show about self-care because not a lot of people talk about it, but it is necessary so that you can participate and support and take care of others in your life and be the person that you need to be. So
exactly. And I can't thank you enough for agreeing to be on my podcast.
No, we loved it.
We loved it.
Podcast.
We absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
But I'm in my first year of it, and actually August will be a year.
Yay!
See how fast it...
And wow, yeah, the time does fly.
It does.
It's crazy. I just saw that now. So the goal for me, I don't post as often as I wanted to or initially planned because life gets in the way.
Of course.
But the goal now is to post at least one episode per month. And I want to get to the point where I'm not going to do it weekly, but where I'm posting once every 2 weeks. That's my goal.
Nice.
That's a great goal.
Twice a month.
I'm not going to say I don't have the time because I could make the time, but it's just a lot. And I have other things that I like doing.
Races? I don't know. Runcation?
Races on and off, right? Runcations.
Yeah.
And I joined a little walk-run group locally. So they do that to explore different greenways on Mondays and stuff. So trying to get out there and explore my local area.
There you go.
So where can people find your podcast?
So you can find this podcast called Life on your favorite podcatcher. I think that's what it's called.
That is.
That's
I'm
what
still
you
learning.
say,
That's what I
Dana.
Multiple of them. You can even go to Podbean, and that's where I started out.
Love
and then I
Podbean.
Love
expanded.
Podbean.
We love them. Yeah.
I also have so you can find the podcast on Facebook as well. It's called this podcast called Life. Not a lot other than me posting the episodes on there. So if you don't have a podcatcher, you can still listen to it via that way. I also have an Instagram page for this podcast called Life. Again, not a lot. I'm slowly learning the whole aspect of podcast and social media.
And what's your Instagram handle for the podcast?
Yeah.
It is this_podcast_ called _life.
I love it.
Which we will link to in the show notes.
And you can find me if you're just looking for me. I have a Facebook, it's Joanne Blatchley, or Instagram, which is Positively Polly1, which I am thinking of changing my handle.
What?
Oh.
Well, you're going to be called Positively Polly 1 regardless of what your handle says, because
Yeah. This is all we know.
that's all we know.
We're going to link to it in the show notes. Jojo, you have talked about St. Jude, this podcast called Life, vacation races, the Grand Teton race. We can't thank you enough for being a St. Jude hero, a podcast host. Happy early anniversary on your first year as a podcaster.
Thank you.
And especially for the way that you support us and others in the Runcation Nation, encourage, inspire. We are so thankful that you are a patron and a member of the Runcation Nation community, and for coming on the show and recapping your race. We thank you, and we hope to accomplish, explore, and indulge with you really soon.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge along with us. We'll talk to you next time.